Miyoo has released yet another device. This time we have a clamshell. This is the Miyoo Flip. And maybe you've purchased a Miyoo product before and you really loved it. I personally am a really big fan of the Miyoo Mini, the original one. This is the V4 over here, and I really love this device. Or maybe you liked its bigger brother, the Miyoo Mini Plus. Both of these handhelds have been fan favorites, really great Hall of Fame retro handhelds in my opinion. And now you may be looking at the Miyoo Flip as a nice little upgrade to your handheld collection. You know, everybody loves a good clamshell. Or maybe you're in the Ambernick camp with the 35XX SP. This is like everybody's favorite handheld of last year. Here I have the red one, but maybe some things about this thing didn't suit to your liking. I know a lot of people complained about the clickier buttons, even on the version 2 when they were quote unquote kind of upgraded. They are a little bit quieter now, but I know this still bothers some people. Also, the lack of joysticks. You know, I know some people really want to play like ports and like, you know, some of the higher end 3D games, and they just can't do it on this thing. Or maybe it was the size. I know for a lot of people, this was a little bit too chunky. It is a little bit wider. Just putting these two side by side, we can see this is a noticeable upgrade in terms of size, because if you did want something smaller, you would need something smaller. So in this video, I hope to answer, is the Miyoo Flip worth it? And there's a lot of things you really need to know if you're considering purchasing this handheld. And right from the beginning, I do want to say, I've had this device for a little bit over a week now, and I've really been enjoying it. This is the model I purchased for myself. This one was sent to me by Lit NXT. So this one's relatively new. I haven't even taken the screen protector off. And I've done that for a reason, because these two are very different in one aspect, and that is because I've stress tested the hinge on this one a lot. And we're gonna get into that a little bit later in the video. But the very first thing I wanna talk about in this review is actually the hinge. I think that's the elephant in the room. Is the hinge good, right? Now, I wanna show you what the hinge looks like right out of the box, right? So if you open it, it does take a little bit of force. It locks into this position, kind of a laptop position. Then over here, which is like your regular playing position. And then one more time, all the way back, doesn't make a noise. Now you'll notice a couple things about it. One, it's kind of loud. It does require a little bit of force, and then also like snaps right here in the closed position. Now, when I first got this thing, I was a little bit concerned about one, longevity, and two, whether it's gonna break, because there have been a lot of reports of Miyoo Flip, specifically the V2s, breaking right out of the box, or a couple of days, or maybe a week or 2 weeks after receiving, when people have been playing with these, and already the hinge has gone. So instead of just talking about it, let me show you. Roll the footage.
Hasn't even been turned on yet.
Now, after seeing that footage, I know you're probably in shock as to what you just saw. The crazy part is there's more clips. There's more. I didn't even include all of them. There's at least 3 more videos that just surfaced like in the past couple days. And there's more coming out every day. I didn't do this to kind of clown on Miyoo. I just, like, I know I put some goofy music in the background, kind of to liven up the mood of kind of like a serious matter, because obviously nobody wants these to break right out of the box, or a couple days, or even a week after they just got them, right? So my objective with this compilation was to show you guys everything I'm seeing in one place, so you can see the kind of the severity of the situation. It's not just one Miyoo, it's not two, it's not three, it's not four, it's not five, it's not 10. It's a lot of them. It's a lot of these. And these are the ones that are being reported now in like the subreddits. What about all the other people that receive these and they're defective right out of the box? And those voices go unheard, right? This seems to be a lot more serious than what people are talking about. And there's a couple things I've noticed from watching those videos. One is that all of them have been on the gray model, right? Which is funny because I have two gray models in front of me and both of them are perfectly fine. Now, I saw these things breaking over a week ago and I wanted to really stress test these to make sure they're up to par. And if you do get a good hinge, is the hinge gonna last, right? So what I did was, this one that I purchased myself off AliExpress, I went ahead and I stress tested this 2,000 times. So this is what a rep looks like to me. 1, 2, back, 3, 4, close. That's an entire rep, right? And I did 200 on a live stream on my channel. You can go watch that, right? The hinge seemed perfectly fine. And then I did 10x that off camera because it is kind of boring. Nobody wants to watch that, right? But the point of doing this was to see how the hinge would hold up, let's say a year from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now. And what I noticed is the hinge did wear out. So here is my Miyoo Flip after 2,200 flips, maybe a little bit more, obviously, just from using it myself, not stress testing it. There's a little bit more. So I'm gonna guesstimate maybe 2,300 flips on this handheld. And one thing you'll notice now, the first thing is sometimes it doesn't hold in position. It's also a lot more quiet now. So look, that's the second position, back, right? Completely quiet now. Again, this is 2,000 flips later. It is quiet versus this is how it comes out of the box. So there is a little bit of play in there now, right? We go over here. This is how it comes out of the box. A little bit of play. Definitely a little bit more play after a significant amount of flips later. But still, it's still kind of impressive that the hinge did not fail, right? So I'm kind of unsure what's going on as far as the hinge is concerned. Why is mine holding up so well, yet a lot of people are reporting just after a few days of use, the hinge is snapping. Now, just because mine is good doesn't mean yours is going to be good. And that's where my first concern comes in with this handheld, right? I don't know what's going on with the hinge, but there's definitely some sort of quality control issue going on with the hinge, right? Like, just because I got a good one doesn't mean you're going to get a good one. And does that mean I can recommend the handheld despite me actually liking it, right? Because it's really a shame. Outside of the hinge, right, everything else on this handheld is damn near fantastic. Let's talk about the screen for a second. It's near bezel-less, right? If we have a look at the screen, it's basically near bezel-less, unlike the SP over here, which has kind of a much bigger bezel. Granted, it's a black bezel, right? But still, the bezel is a little bit bigger and the edge is a little bit bigger. I just prefer the size of this one. If they're the exact same size panel, why not have a smaller bezel, right? I also appreciate that the screen is recessed. It's got really, really great color reproduction. Here, we'll jump into a game real quick so you guys can have a look at the panel. I do have GBA color correction on right now, but I just really, really enjoy the screen on this thing. It's one of my favorite things about this handheld so far. And of course, because it's in a clamshell, the panel is closer to your eyes, which is so, so, so nice. The panel gets fairly bright as well and fairly dim, which I really, really appreciate. So just the panel they've chosen on this device is so, so, so good. Moving on to the controls, I really, really enjoy the controls here. I know a lot of people hated the clicky kind of Anbernic SP buttons on this thing. These ones are much louder. Shoulder buttons too. I know a lot of people did not like this. With the Miyoo Flip, it's a different story. Their buttons are Very, very quiet. But every button on this device is completely quiet, which I really, really appreciate. Even this D-pad at first glance, first impressions when I first saw this thing, I was like, I'm not gonna like this D-pad just because it looked kind of skinny, it looked kind of small. But after actually using it, it's a really, really good D-pad. I can't really complain about anything. Even these start and select buttons, everything is like soft and clicky. The shoulder buttons, I actually ended up opening this up and there's a rubber pad right here. So this is super cushioned. Every button on this thing feels really, really good. The joysticks, at first glance, I was like, Vita sticks again. I didn't like them on the Smart Pro, but here, after using them, they work so well. Like, I can't even dislike them. They have like a little bit of rubber here. They do L3 and R3 functionality, and they're just really good sticks, despite like, they're kind of small, they're kind of on the small side, but the range of motion is fairly good, like more than a Nintendo Joy-Con joystick, and there's no cardinal snapping or anything like that. And I feel like they just work for a device like this, right? A clamshell. You're probably not going to be using this most of the time, but it's fairly nice to have them when you do want to play them, right? Even the volume button here, quiet as well. Everything here is so, so quiet. I really, really like that about this Miyoo Flip. And it's kind of why I've been using it so heavily this week, because nothing bothers me about this device. Like I said, besides the hinge. Let's talk about the size of it real quick. So if we put this next to a DS Lite, we can see the thickness is a little bit thicker than a DS Lite. That is a great comparison there. Here it is next to an SP. It is open next to an SP. We can see the body of it is also a little bit thinner and not as wide. Here it is next to a Miyoo Mini Plus. And here it is next to a Miyoo Mini. So it's definitely a great size. The plastic on this handheld is fairly good. It does feel like the plastic used on the Powkiddy V10 or the RGB 10X. If you know those newer Powkiddies, that's basically what this feels like. It feels pretty decent, but it is on the cheaper side. The handheld itself is relatively light. Like, it's not the heaviest thing in the world. And I feel like that's what people say when they describe it as a toy. Like, if I had to put it into words how this handheld feels in hand, right, I would say I don't think it feels like a toy. I think it just feels light, right? And it's also not very dense. Like, it's not a dense product. The SP, let's talk about the SP for a second, because the SP had its own fair share of issues, especially with the hinge. At the beginning, some people were reporting, the plastic around one of the sides here, I think this side, would snap or start cracking, especially on the transparent units. I haven't seen it on the harder units, the solid units, but this one uses, I believe, 2 hinges, and it feels just, I don't know, leagues better than the Miyoo Flip's hinge. Also, this only has one point of open, and it doesn't even stay at this point. It just right here where you're playing, and that's it, right? Versus the Miyoo Flip, which opens at basically 3 positions. One, it's very, very difficult to open here. It has a kind of laptop mode. Then that's your playing side, and then here, for some reason, you can also lock it in place. I feel like that's just putting more stress on the hinge, and this one only has one hinge on the right side. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but the hinge is only one here, and I think there's a metal band on this side to kind of support it like the original SP. I think they could have done a lot better, right? This thing has been on the market for almost a year now, I think, right? And Ambernick really nailed the hinge on this thing. Despite what everybody's said about it, and like, look, you see it's like pushing out a little bit, but it's been fairly good, and it feels great to open. Like, it's very, very, very satisfying to open this one. Versus, I just don't like how the hinge feels and sounds on the Miyoo Flip. So to answer the question, is the hinge good? Is the hinge gonna last? And my answer is, I'm not sure, because mine is fine, and I had a great hinge. Maybe I got the hinge lottery, But then there's a lot of other people who've had the same exact device and they're snapping literally a week later, a couple days of use, maybe 2 weeks, and the hinge is snapping. So if you're somebody considering the Miyoo Flip, definitely look at these videos and think about it for yourself. If that's a risk you're willing to take, maybe if you're still gonna buy it regardless of whatever I say, then maybe buy it from a seller that has a good return policy or that will take care of you in the event you get a bad hinge or it snaps within, a couple days of use or a month of use or a week of use. You want to have some sort of insurance with this thing, right? I didn't even talk about the price, so let's talk about the price very briefly. Well, value proposition wise, I do appreciate that this comes with a case. I think the case is worth at least like a good $10. It's a clamshell, it doesn't really need it, to be honest, but I think it does add value to the device. So if we said this is like a $70 device with a $10 case, I could, you can make the case that it is worth it, right? It's $80, right? You get a case, you get a device, and a bunch of accessories. It even comes with this micro SD card reader, which is always nice, and it's branded. It has this little thing on the end. I appreciate these cases, don't get me wrong, but still, when you compare it to the SP, which yes, this is an older handheld at this point, but we can find these at like $50, $45 on AliExpress sometimes, and it's just the value proposition is a little bit too far. I think if this was priced at like 65, maybe $60, maybe you can buy it without the case to save a little bit of money. I think the value would be a little bit better, especially considering this doesn't feel as nice as the SP in my opinion. Hinge wise, plastic wise, it doesn't feel as premium. So I don't know if it warrants the price. Don't get me wrong, the processor in this thing is a 3566, which has been known to be a little bit more expensive, right? So it can go both ways. I personally did not pay $80 for my unit. I would not have even purchased it at that price. I waited for a sale, as I think you should as well. I paid, I think, $62 for my unit. It was like 61 and some change from AliExpress. I did also receive another one from Lit NXT. This I didn't even know they were gonna send me, but thank you Lit NXT for sending me the Miyoo Flip. And I'll put that on screen what they're selling it for if you want to pick one up from them. So one thing about Lit NXT that I really appreciate is that they actually give you a branded SD card. So in this thing, they actually give you a SanDisk Ultra 64 gig. And this thing is absolutely loaded. And it has a much better like ROM collection than what you get from the, let's say like the one I got from AliExpress that came with like a generic SD card. So that's why I'm using my own thing in this one. I have gone ahead and changed it. I put MinUI, as you probably saw in the video. The one from Lit NXT is just really, really nice. So as you can see here, the game collection is fairly good. Here's a bunch of stuff from Dreamcast, Game Boy Advance, absolutely loaded. 232, probably a best of best Game Boy Advance stuff. Game Boy Color. This one for some reason doesn't have scraped box art, but still the collection is pretty good. And everything's in English, USA ROMs. And like I said earlier, the stock firmware here is really, really good. Like performance wise, the way it looks like Onion OS. And you get all the features that, you get stripped away on MinUI. So if you're not a person that you like a minimal aesthetic, the stock firmware here is actually really, really good. So let's finish this off with my closing thoughts on what I think about the Miyoo Flip, on whether or not you should buy it. Okay. First of all, I want to say I really, really like this handheld. Despite all the controversy around it, none of mine have broken, and I like basically almost everything about the device. I love the form factor, I love the size, I like the way it feels, I love the screen, I love the action buttons, I love the performance. The battery is perfectly fine. I've had no issues whatsoever with the device, minus the hinge. I feel like the hinge here is still not good enough in my opinion, despite doing over 2,000 reps on this thing. I just feel like they could have done better, right? We had the SP, and this thing's been out for much longer. This thing feels a million times better than the Miyoo Flip's hinge. Now, this is version 2 of this thing, and they had over a year to make this hinge better than the SP's hinge. So I don't know. The fact that some of these are breaking right out of the box is very concerning, and it's something you want to consider if you're gonna pick this thing up. For me, I can only recommend it if you can get it at a discount and if you can bet it from a buyer that's gonna have your back if something goes wrong, right? If you're still gonna take the risk and buy it anyway, despite everything else, despite maybe the hinge might break, I would say 2 things. One, maybe don't get the gray model because that seems to be the ones that are mostly affected. Maybe get the black or the yellow or the white because I haven't seen any of those hinges break. It's mostly been the gray model. But again, I have 2 gray models and the hinge is fine. So I'm not sure what's going on. But everything aside, the only negatives I have about the device is that the hinge is loud and it can potentially break. That's the only thing I don't like about the device. Everything else is great. Solid handheld. But yeah, guys, I think I've rambled on enough about this handheld. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What you think of the Miyoo Flip. Do you have a Miyoo Flip? Are you experiencing issues with your Miyoo Flip? Would you still buy the Miyoo Flip despite seeing what I just showed you and expressing to you my concerns about the Miyoo Flip? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Javi, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.